Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Tally Ho. I wanted to apologize right off the bat because I re-watched parts of the previous episode and it seemed that at some places I have been speaking a bit too fast, so I'll try to make it a bit more legible. Apology to anyone who found it hard to listen to, but there was 210 of you at this point and nobody complained, so hopefully I'm just being overly critical and it was fine. Anyway, chapter 2, On the Rails. All aboard, cries the conductor of the 10:01 a.m. local to Woodland Center, the village where Aunt Primrose has her estate. As is necessary when you travel, Rory takes his sport two-seater automobile while you take the train. You have charge of the suitcases, as Rory's small car would be unable to carry even half of the necessaries that a well-mannered gentleman and his servant need in order to maintain proper decorum and elegance for several days away from home. With 6 bags in hand, you jog down the platform at a good clip. Paddington Station is bustling this morning, and the taxi that brought you here was unaccountably slow. And you are cutting this a bit closer than you would have preferred. Working your way through a veritable obstacle course of humanity, you attempt to reach the train before it pulls away. But the flood of people that you must plunge through is vast. Small children who seem to have dropped a coin under a bench, tour guides pointing up towards the great steel and glass arched ceiling for an enthralled crowd, families having their picture drawn by a caricaturist. Damn, they really chose the best words for this. Station workers measuring the platform with a tape measure, and the conductor looks like he is getting ready to shut the door. You simply must not miss this train. The next one isn't for 2 hours, and it would not do to arrive late. It would reflect poorly on Rory, and then he would not have the proper attire for this afternoon's fox hunt. Just as you are nearly within a hailing distance of the conductor, a man sporting a bushy ginger beard turns to the woman he is walking with, drops to one knee in the middle of the platform, directly in front of you, and begins to propose a marriage. The conductor takes out his pocket watch, compares it to the great clock at the center of the platform, and then clicks it closed with a satisfied nod. What do you do? Well, I just wanted to say that this is really, if you guys haven't read, I don't know what the book is called exactly. I always forget the name, but it's basically the Around the World in 7 Days. I strongly suggest it. It's an amazing piece of literature, so much fun, and this is so reminiscent of it. Even though that one takes place about 50 years before. So what do? Shout for the conductor to hold the train, charge straight through the joyful couple, or slow down and wait for them to finish, so as not to spoil the moment. Perhaps I will still be able to make the train. Well, I can either shout for the conductor or slow down, because I'm not going to charge through the happy couple. Let's shout for the conductor. Maybe he will be merciful. I say, conductor, wait, I'm coming. But whether the conductor does not hear you, is unconvinced by the plaintive tone in your voice, or is simply bound to the unrelenting timetable, he begins to shut the door, signaling that there will be no more passengers. Could you keep it down? Says the bearded man. Some of us are trying to create a romantic atmosphere here. This is supposed to be our engagement, and I don't need you barking in our ears. I apologize, my dear. Now where was I? Biting back a number of pretty juicy things you would say in response, you walk away from the platform. Well, thanks, dude. It's great to know that even then, or back then, people were self-absorbed. Walking away from the platform with 6 suitcases, you feel a bit put out. You had anticipated a restful, even meditative train ride to replenish your mental and emotional reserves, so that you might serve Rory most efficiently. Now you are at a loss. It would be absurd to have to wait for hours and then arrive late, when the gathering has already started. People might look at you askance and there would be toot-tooting and the like. Wow, these words, toot-tooting. You step out of the station, sit down on a bench, and ponder your options. Good day, Calvin. May I assist you? You look up. A very proper-looking woman with wide bobbed hair is addressing you. But her properness is balanced by the significant fact that she is wearing goggles, a bomber jacket, trousers, and heavy boots, and that she stands astride one of those new motorcycles with a sidecar. She checks to ensure that the brown wicker basket attached to the rear of the motorcycle is firmly attached, and then speaks to you again. I saw you on the platform, and when you did not make it aboard your train, I waited for you to see if I could assist. I'm headed in the same direction as the train, and I further happen to know it stops for 20 minutes at Brooks Crossing. I believe you could make it to Brooks Crossing right as the train arrives, and you could board there for the final leg of the journey. Do I know you? Let us keep our voices down, as we are likely being observed at this moment. She looks over both shoulders and then steps closer to you. I am Mrs. Regina Wilhelmina, and I am Primrose Patterson's housekeeper at this time. But we should not use our names openly here, and unfortunately, we need to get on the road. There is dirty work afoot, and I have an errand to run en route. Come along. Wow, this is looking interesting. Although this seems like an extraordinary way to travel, you really have no other option, and so you must accede. What is the attitude with which you agree to her plan? I am effussingly grateful for the stroke of luck and her offer. I'm clearly unhappy to have to travel in this manner. I'm concerned about the logistics of transporting her, me, and the luggage. No, I'm effusively grateful. Again, word I've never heard in my life. I'm effusively grateful for the stroke of luck and her offer. This is going to be great for my English. I'm going to learn so many words. You are sent from above, you say. Thank you so much for your kind offer. I only hope that this delay hasn't proved fatal for the rest of my day's work, but I'm happy to help you. Just put your suitcases into the sidecar, put the spare helmet on, get behind me, and let's get moving. She puts her own helmet on, and then revs the motorcycle several times, startling some passerbys. Then she maneuvers out of the station parking and onto the street. So, if I can call you by your name, what should I call you? You say, loudly, so she can hear you above the wind rushing past. Call me Midnight Fawn for now, and I shall call you Dandelion. All right, Dandelion it is. Actually, I prefer Shadow Stealth. How about Savage Wendigo? I think Cupcakes would be a better pseudonym. I'll make up my own nom de guerre, thank you. No, we're gonna be called Dandelion. I love dandelions. All right, Dandelion it is. Glad you like it. I picked it out myself for you. I still have no idea what we're talking about, you say. Of course not, Dandelion. I had not intended to explain it to you just yet, but since we are flung together like this, of course you have many questions. They always do. What exactly are we talking about? I'm terribly bewildered, you ask. Yes, I suppose you will need to be briefed. You are, I assume, quite familiar with the Cadbury Club. Of course, that's the club that I'm a member of. The Cadbury Club for Those Who Serve, the most exclusive organization for servants in the world. Then surely you have heard of the Cadbury Club Inner Circle. And the options are yes, but secret societies are not particularly of interest to me. I prefer to live a quieter, less complex life. Or, in time, I hope my immaculate service will merit inclusion in the near mythical Inner Circle's August Society, if it's real. Or, do you have insider information about the Inner Circle? I'd like very much to hear, unless it is against the rules. Or, rumors. I dismiss them emphatically. Bah. No, in time I hope my immaculate service will merit inclusion. Because, we have goals, you know. It is quite real, I assure you. And you are correct that immaculate service is an essential component, Regina says. You intrigue me, you reply. She sits taller in her seat. The Cadbury Club Inner Circle is for the most elite members, for ladies' maids and gentlemen's gentlemen who have attained the peak of their position. Yes, So the new members say in hushed voices, you reply. You are being considered for admission into the inner circle, and you are being evaluated for your suitability, she says. Ah, I see, and you are my evaluator, which explains why you know who I am. I shall have to be on my best behavior with you then, I smile. Or, you may as well call off the test as a great waste of time, as I'm certainly to be voted in. Or, me, I'm hardly the right person for such an august society. Or, I wonder to what extent a small cash gift would help to influence my evaluator. No, let's go with the first option. Ah, I see, and you are my evaluator, which explains why you know who I am. I shall have to be on my best behavior with you then, I smile. In a manner of speaking, yes, I am your evaluator, a temporary mentor, let us say. She does not smile back, but maintains an even expression. The inner circle is rumored to have elaborate tests and rigorous standards, but this conversation during a high-speed motorcycle jaunt is not at all what you expected. Now, as you know... Oh, hang on a moment. She accelerates for a bit, and then veers off the main road and onto a side road that runs past an ironworks, a quarry, and an oatmeal packaging factory. You whiz past the slower traffic here, and you take in some industrial scenery, factories, and so forth. Uh-oh, you hear Regina say. That is not what one hopes to hear, I must confess, you say. What is the matter? Trouble, unfortunately, she says. This is a 70 Days mixed with a Bond drama. Let me just take a sip of my coffee. You look over your shoulder and you see a powerful-looking red speedster bearing down on you. Oh yeah, this is a Bond villain coming. A stern figure with shiny black hair and a pince-nez calls something out of the window of the passenger seat, which is probably something akin to "Hold" or "Hey there." There's someone attempting to hail us, you say, off the port side. I know, says Regina. Hold on. The figure responds to your sudden burst of speed by leaning out of the window and pointing a revolver at you. You advise Regina as to this development. She takes a quick glance back. I was hoping that you wouldn't have to deal with this. But all right, Dandelion. I'm going to need your help. Here, steer. I'm going to return fire. Okay, I was joking about the Bond thing, but we're gonna shoot at each other? She draws her own revolver from a concealed holster and waits for you to take the handlebars. I start driving, or give me the gun instead, you drive, or I cast about for another way to help. Well, we are quite abrasive, and we are bold and observant, so I think that we're gonna ask for the gun instead. I mean, though... well, we are behind her. So it would probably be better if we get the gun. Give me the gun instead. You drive. Are you quite sure? Trust me, you say. She passes the revolver to you and focuses on driving. Some would say it is difficult to shoot accurately from a moving motorcycle on a bumpy road while being shot at by a mysterious assailant, but not for a well-trained valet. And for you, it is a matter of moments before you have pierced the red car's front tire, putting them out of commission. You speed away, none the worse for wear. Wow, I wasn't expecting such a good result. Well done, Dandelion, says Regina. Thank you. Burst your tire, did you? I did. Took 3 shots, though. I thought it best to be thorough, as I was uncertain as to the efficacy of the second shot. Well, she says, we'll let that pass for the moment. Let's go forth and complete my mission so that I can get you to the station on time. I wonder if this is as a result of our stats or if you always shoot this well. I would bet, from what I already seen, that this is based on stats. Well, that was an adventure, says Regina. You show aptitude and conducted yourself well in trying circumstances, but I do apologize for getting you involved. Actually, I quite liked it. Or, no need to apologize. Obviously it was unavoidable. Or, an apology hardly compensates one for being shot at, but as I'm unharmed, we shall say no more of it. Let's go with no need to apologize. Obviously it was unavoidable. Yes, generally we in the inner circle seek to prepare for all eventualities, but we find ourselves just concluding a nasty bit of business. A nasty bit of business? Sounds mysterious, you reply. less mysterious and more tawdry. You drive for a little while in silence. Soon you leave behind the industrial area and whiz into the residential neighborhood. Strolling young couples and elderly pensioners on beaches enjoy the autumn leaves. A few point at you as you pass. Regina directs you towards the more elegant part of the town and then begins to speak, her words measured. I suppose you deserve a small bit of background. I had intended to tell you later, but since we are here, and if you do not mind my having to raise my voice as we drive, I will speak briefly of what you need to know. Please, by all means, say on, you reply. The Inner Circle is an alliance of talented and polished servants who are dedicated to maintaining the safety and serenity of their employers at all costs. There are those who may wish our employers ill, to embarrass them socially, perhaps. We are the last line of defense. But surely we all maintain the safety and serenity of our employers, you reply. Of course we do, but we in the Inner Circle are tasked with solving the most intractable of problems. The perfect lady's maid or gentleman's gentleman is expected to extract their employer from absurdly complex problems as if it were nothing at all. This would be impossible if we did not exist, working behind the scenes. We become involved when all seems lost. Such as, you ask? Consider this letter. She holds up an envelope. This is the piece of information that our assailant wished to procure from us. What sort of a letter is it? A love letter, containing explicit discussion, including a very compromising limerick, of a gentleman's thoughts upon a love interest whom some would deem an inappropriate choice. An inappropriate choice, whom some would deem an inappropriate choice. Wow, this is really hard to say. I see. The gentleman's enemies had stolen the letter from its recipient and intended to use it for blackmail. The gentleman in question was lucky enough to have a manservant with a cousin in the Inner Circle, and our team went into action at once. We retrieved the letter as part of a daring strike, and now we return the letter to the gentleman in question, and all will be set right. When we shall fade into the background until needed. Then we shall fade into the background until needed. That is our role. We serve and take no credit for our good deeds. Damn, this is like a club of do-gooders. I like it. That's really good. You finally come to a stop in front of a palatial Romanesque Revival townhouse, all arches and towers in brown red stone, with a cedar fence marking off its tiny but well-kept garden in front. The verdigris-covered copper plate over the door announces that this is the home of an Honorable Mr. D.G. Wait here with the motorcycle, says Regina, stepping off. I shall return the letter to the person who hired us and assure him that his employer's secrets are safe. It will take just a moment, and then we shall meet your train. You wait while Regina approaches the front door. A butler opens it and quickly ushers her inside with an expression of relief on his face. You drum your fingers on the seat of the motorcycle for a moment, but you have a little time to while away as a light blue and white police car approaches and pulls up behind you. A man in a trench coat and a battered deerstalker hat, holding a paperback novel, emerges. His eyes are fixed on the open book, following the words down the page with his index finger. He walks towards you without looking up. Hello, officer. He holds up one finger at you, still not taking his eyes off the page. There, he says, finishing the paragraph he was on, and marking his place with a soft tan leather bookmark. He stows the book in his inside coat pocket, and then looks up at you, surveying the scene. Inspector Ambrose of the Yard. Is this your motorcycle? No, I'm watching it for a friend. A friend, you say? He paces around the motorcycle, noting its license plates. Tell me, was your friend recently engaged in a high-speed chase involving gunfire? Now, when I say a friend, you must understand that what I mean is acquaintance whom I better know. Or, I don't intend to offer any information on the subject. Or, I would say yes, she was involved in both a chase and a gunfire. Let's go with the option 2. We're not gonna rat her out, but All three of these options seem really weird. I would have thought that could deny it. Well, this option is the most neutral one. I don't intend to offer any information. Climbing up, eh? Just when I've put you on the spot. You find yourself caught between loyalty to your accomplice and offering the truth. It's a difficult situation, I understand. Take your time. It's not a question of taking time. I just do not wish to say anything further. That's your right, of course. Naturally, I will interpret your silence in a manner befitting the facts, and as I have understood them so far. He pulls out a notepad from inside his coat and a pen. The notepad is a high-quality one with gilt edges and bears the word clues on its front in an attractive calligraphic type. Suspect is silent on the matter, he says, as he writes, dotting the I in silent with gusto. Are you investigating anything in particular? You say, cutting him off. I am. That's interesting that you happen to know that. I'm on a trail of the notorious sneak thief known to the local papers as Light-Fingered Lou, although this is merely a nom de guerre. I see, and you believe that I may have some information pertaining to this Light-Fingered Lou? Perhaps. I'm simply considering all angles, using the science of deduction. You see, when you eliminate the impossible, the only thing left is the possible. He pauses with a mildly troubled look on his face. Just the opposite, rather. You notice Regina opening the door of Mr. D.G.'s house and stand looking at Inspector Ambrose for a moment. She then makes a series of pantomimes that obviously means, we have to go, get rid of him. I drive off, hoping to return for Regina after losing the inspector, or I cut Inspector Ambrose off in a polite manner, or I give him some false information to distract him. Well, driving off are becoming more soothing as we play, but I think that I cut the inspector off in a polite manner seems like the best choice. Yeah, he's a police officer. I'm not gonna run him over or, lie to him, so let's cut him off and drive. Oh my goodness, look at the time. I thought it was far earlier. I must be going. Take care, Inspector, and thank you for a lovely conversation. What? Really? Just like that? He replies. What a shame that I have no more clues for you. Good luck. I hope you find Littlefingered Lou. Intriguing. I never said Littlefingered Lou was a man, Inspector Ambrose crows. Neither did I. Really, this is the first time I've heard about her. Or him. My methods may seem unusual to you, but they are scientific and rigorous. I believe you, but I need to go now. All right then, don't leave the country. I may have more questions for you in the future. Righto. He gets into his car and drives off. When you're sure he is gone, you motion towards the house. Regina emerges and swiftly gets on the bike and you drive away. At last, you and Regina arrive at Brooks Crossing, a tiny village immediately before Aunt Primrose's own village. The train has already arrived to load and offload packages. Glancing at the station clock, you see that in 20 minutes, quite promptly, it will depart again. Here, passengers are encouraged to stretch their legs, enjoy the well-known La Bonbonnière at Château du Café, an adorable cafe known for its currant scones. The station has also a number of other boutiques, including the Ye Olde gift shop, which Rory asked you to look into during the journey. You had remembered that Aunt Primrose mentioned seeing and liking a particular peridot-adorned hairstick at this boutique, and you rang up Ye Olde gift shop and asked them to hold one for you until you could come by to pick it up, so that Rory would have the perfect birthday present to give her. Thanks to Regina, you will be able to pick up the last bit of your train ride and also have time to purchase the gift for Aunt Primrose. Thank you, Regina, you say. Not at all. She assists you with the suitcases. Let us load these onto the train, and then I must be on my way. You walk to the platform together and explain to the conductor that you missed the train in London. And yet here you are, the conductor says. Wonderful thing, transportation. Yes, we can discuss how wonderful it is later. I'm in something of a hurry. There you are then. Be back here before we leave, of course. After stowing your bags and having your ticket stamped and torn in various ways, You exit the train and walk Regina back to her motorcycle. I shall see you again shortly at Ritornello, she says. I would let you ride with me the rest of the way, but I have a sensitive mission to complete before joining you, one that must be performed alone. When we see one another later, you should refrain from greeting me by my name. Midnight Thorn, naturally. Naturally, you reply. We shall treat each other as if just meeting to the extent possible. Then we shall find time to speak in private, away from prying ears. For there is, I believe, some dirty work afoot that I will have to deal with, and I may ask you for your assistance as part of your test. Much, indeed, may be asked of you, and from surprising quarters. Farewell, Dandelion. She drives away, and now you have time to conduct your business in the station before the train leaves. You head towards the gift shop when you hear a plaintive call. From the window of La Bonbonnière at Chateau du Café comes a familiar voice. I say, Calvin! Calvin! Call! It's Figs, Rory's old chum back from his school days, about whose unhappy love life you became private only a few days ago. He sits at the edge of his chair, holding an open sketchpad and a set of pastels, which he snaps shut upon seeing you. Figs can be best described as combining the least aesthetic qualities of an otter and a stalk of celery. Combining a certain friendly weasel-like facial quality with a long and lanky body. He wears a threadbare suit, in fashion perhaps 10 years ago, dotted here and there with specks of paint. I can't believe it's you, he shouts, leaping up and jostling the cup in the hand of a chap sitting in an adjacent table. Figs reaches out his hand to shake yours. As if in slow motion, you notice that his hand is filthy, bearing a mix of pastels he was working with, and what you would guess are the remnants of a ham and cheese sandwich with mustard. I shake his hand cheerfully. I clasp my hands behind my back and greet him cordially. I pretend not to see his hand. No, we shake his hand cheerfully. You grasp Fig's hand and shake it heartily, and then Fig slaps you on the back with the other hand. The cheerful greeting clearly buoys him no small amount, but leaves you, you fear, with a big pastel handprint on your back, and perhaps the aroma of mustard. Well, Calvin, says Figs, it's been a while. What a strange coincidence, you say. We've just been hearing about your difficulties. You watch as Fig's delight at seeing you drains away, and he is left a broken and brooding man. So you know all. I do, you reply. You know of my despair. He picks up his teacup and runs his finger along the rim of it, in the process tipping it over and slushing tea on his trousers. You know of my inability to see my one and only, my darling Mopsy, of whom no one is more worthy of adoration. But Calvin, if you are here, you must be headed up to Woodland Center, to Ritornello, for the big fox hunt and feast. Yes, I'm meeting Mr. Wintermint there. He dabs half-heartedly at the tea spill. Then you'll see Mopsy. You may enter where I'm barred entrance. Tell me, Calvin, would you embrace her for me, and tell her that you saw me, and that I do nothing but pine for her? Embrace her and kiss her dewy brow for me? I don't think I'll be kissing her dewy brow, but I'll tell her you are thinking of her. Or I shall be certain to do so, and I shall ensure that she knows the pain you are in. Or have you heard from her at all? Do you even know if she still loves you? I'm gonna go with option number 1. I don't think I'll be kissing her dewy brow, but I'll tell her you are thinking of her. No, not thinking of her, pining. It is driving me mad to be shut away from her, where all may see her but I, where she may laugh her silvery laugh, which has the sound of, tintinnabulations, perhaps, you offer? Yes, exactly, like tintinnabulation. I wish I could hear her again. It sounds like this. Then he attempts to mimic the sound of his wife's laugh, an attempt that does not go over too well with the other customers in the cafe. A seeded roll and an orange orange wedge fly at Figs, bouncing off his sketchpad, but he pays them no heed. Let me see. No, we don't have him as a contact. That's interesting. I was thinking that we would have him here, considering the amount of time we're spending him. Figs looks out of the window of the cafe. There is something I need to tell you. He drums on the table for a moment, and you wait attentively for him to muster up the momentum to speak. Figs chews his lower lip for a moment. I'd better just tell you straight out, Calvin. I have a notion. I've been turning it over in my mind all day, but I'm not quite sure how to effect it. My running into you is a godsend, though. You can almost certainly help me figure this whole dashed thing out. Tell me all. Figs reaches under his seat and pulls out a sturdy tube. For the past several months, I have been hard at work on a piece of art. I think it's brilliant, I really do. It's every bit as good as the thing they hang on museum walls, that's for certain. I really believe that if only Aunt Primrose could see my work, without knowing that it was I who painted it, she would be utterly convinced of my talent, and be willing to accept that I could possibly provide for Mopsy. But since she is predisposed to hate me, she naturally will not look upon my work with other than a jaundiced eye. I see the conundrum, you reply. And so, I ask you, Calvin, knowing that you are resourceful beyond measure, to help me get my masterpiece before her eyes, and to deceive her into believing that it is the work of one of the old masters. That could be tricky, you admit. Well, it doesn't have to be an old master. It could be passed off as an up-and-coming genius whose work commands fantastic sums abroad. As long as she is unaware that it is mine, she will judge it fairly. And then, when she praises it, I will swoop forward and say, "Ha-ha, 'tis I," or something like that. Of course, I will assist to the extent possible. I'm afraid that this task would fall outside of the area of my responsibilities to Mr. Wintermint. But why do you need me? Where do I come into it? Well, this is an interesting conundrum. I mean, we were asked to break them off, but if you know, he seems cool, and if they love each other, so let's go with it. We are the guy who would help, so of course I will assist to the extent possible. Thank goodness for you. I knew you would not fail me in my time of need. Without you, I fear my poor heart would burst out of despair. Surely not, sir. It's true, I weep nightly for lack of my dear Mopsy, and I have no doubt that she does likewise. Do you know how moist one's pillow gets, Calvin? I really couldn't hazard an estimate, sir. Now, let's get to specifics, Figs says. He removes the end of the tube, excitement on his face. You must take my painting, make your way into Aunt Primrose's art gallery, find a suitable frame, and insert my own art into it. Then you must hang it on the wall as if it has been there all along. But surely she will notice a new painting, you object. He removes the rolled up canvas and spreads it out on his lap, displaying it to you. Your first impression is that it represents an indescribably ugly baboon, a fiendishly deformed millipede wearing a wig, perhaps? Then you see at the bottom, in Fig's looping handwriting, a loving portrait of Primrose Patterson. Figgs looks at you in a highly energized state, eyes bugging out with anticipation at what he is certain will be your breathtakingly positive response to his artwork. What do you think? I try to maintain a neutral expression in the face of such a grotesque portrait. I abruptly try to change the subject, or I attempt to tell Figgs what a wonderful likeness it is. I mean, we're not going to lie to him. So let's go with the option one. I fight to maintain a neutral expression. Well, this is really something special and unique, you say. You notice a few people sitting nearby pointing at the portrait and wincing. You do your best to keep Figgs from noticing them. After all, you don't want Figgs' feelings to be hurt. Thank you for your kind words, Figgs says. They mean a lot to me. Thank you for sharing it with me. I know it's not easy to bare your soul like this. Figgs looks like he is about to burst with pride. Then maybe I do have a chance to persuade Aunt Primrose and for Mopsy and me to be happy at last. Calvin, I shall tell Rory what a wonder you are. Oh, please don't. This is gonna be a nightmare. If we actually pull this off, this is gonna blow in our faces. Fix rolls the painting back up and stores it safely in the tube. This is a matter of life and death, Calvin. It means everything to me and Mopsy. Will you take my painting and get it somehow into Aunt Primrose's art gallery and lure her to see it and comment on it? Yes, I'll take it. Or, I'll take it, but I would need to ask Mr. Wintermint's permission before doing such a thing. Or, I certainly shall not. I'm affronted by the very notion. Or, I apologize, but I cannot. I mean, we'll try it, but we'll ask Rory if this is a good idea. Wonderful, wonderful, Fix says. That's the feudal spirit. I knew you had it in you. You won't regret this, Calvin. Not for a moment. Allow me to stow it with your luggage in the baggage car. It's the very least I can do. And you'll put it on the wall right when you get there. Wonderful. I must consult Mr. Wintermint on this matter before I do anything with it, you say. I must be perfectly clear on this matter. I am very glad indeed, Fix says, not listening to you. He happily chatters away about Mopsy and pleased as punch. Although Regina got you to the station early enough to easily make your train, after talking to Fix, you'll have to step lively if you want to make your purchase for Aunt Primrose at the Ye Olde gift shop. You pick up the pace and approach the shop. You enter Ye Olde gift shop, eager to make your purchase of the peridot hairstick, already anticipating the joy it will bring Aunt Primrose, and the relief on Rory's face when he sees that you have managed to provide him with an acceptable gift for her this year. Ye Olde gift shop is a small boutique with interesting, locally crafted, one-of-a-kind jewelry. The store gives the impression of having about 3 times the amount of merchandise than ought to be able to fit within its dimensions. Shelves stand against every conceivable wall and atop each other, while additional shelves hang from the ceiling. The store appears to specialize in highly fragile and unstable objects, the art that perch shakily on these shelves. You work your way with held breath past the display of fine crystal figurines of the Archangel Michael with long wings and swords which extend well beyond the figure's center of gravity and into the narrow aisle. Stepping lightly, you approach the counter. The only customer in the store is an old gentleman, balding, with grey, mutton-chop sideburns, wearing a military officer's uniform, complete with tarnished gold-colored epaulettes, a swagger stick, and a number of colourful medals. One of the medals read, Colonel Firesnuff for valor beyond measure. He glances at you and mutters something about not being able to shop in peace without all and sundry coming in and clogging up the shop, and turns back to the sales clerk, an aggressively freckled young woman who gives off the distinct impression that she has just started working this job about 5 minutes ago. Let me see, he says to the sales clerk. What do you recommend, girl? What would a woman with a certain brassy style want for her birthday? We have some stained glass vases and some crystal bells with a little jeweled clappers, and this lovely peridot hairstick. A peridot hairstick, you say? Excuse me, you say. Yes, this looks intriguing. The sales clerk lays the hairstick on a velvet mat on the glass counter. Oh, I think this will do admirably, says Colonel Firesnuff. You peer over his shoulder. He's looking at what appears very much to be the one and only kind item that you requested via telephone to be held for you for Aunt Primrose. I quickly grab the hairstick. I tell Colonel Firesnuff and the sales clerk that the hairstick is on reserve for me. I let Colonel Firesnuff buy it and then attempt to pilfer it from him, or Colonel Firesnuff got there first, so it's only fair to let him have it. No, we tell him that we reserved it, which is the truth. If I might interrupt for a moment, you say, I believe that there has been something of a mistake at hand, that together we might correct. A mistake, you say, says Colonel Firesnuff, turning to you with a chin lifted, as if sizing you up for a single combat. What seems to be the problem, says the freckled woman at the counter, retreating slightly into herself. Well, you say, chuckling a little, it's actually a bit funny. You see, the hairstick is actually mine. Colonel Firesnuff snorts. I beg your pardon? You see, I reserved it via telephone not too long ago, And so you see that one-of-a-kind gift is mine to purchase, not yours. It's a simple misunderstanding is all. Miss, if you might simply check your records. The shopkeep makes hesitant noises and pages back and forth in a desultory fashion in a ledger until it becomes clear that she has no idea where to look or, indeed, how to resolve what you seem to think of a simple problem. I think you'll find that the finder's keeper's rule is very much in effect here, my friend, Colonel Farsnuff says, pointing a finger at you. I would insist that you remove your pointing finger from my vicinity. I'll do it if you ask me politely, but not if you insist, Colonel Farsnuff huffs. I never do things when people insist. You hear a ringing sound. Oh, sorry, no, I missed the line. I never do things when people insist. There's no need for this to get out of control, you say. Simple politeness. You hear a ringing sound. It is the cash register. An elderly lady using 2 canes has, unseen by either you or Colonel Farsnuff, slipped behind you and purchased the hair stick. As the elderly lady exits the store, the shopkeep shrugs dazedly at you. I didn't know if either of you wanted it, so... Incompetence! Shouts Colonel Farsnuff. You distracted me. Very well. I'll just buy something else, something better. He makes his purchase and storms off. Catching a glimpse of the station clock, you are forced to grab the nearest item for Aunt Primrose's gift, which turns out to be needlepoint wall hanging that says, God bless this home, with an image of a baby angel on it. And will we fail this one as well? All aboard, comes a cry from across the station, and you are shaken from your thoughts. You look up at the station clock, which you now realize must be slow, as the train is beginning to depart. With an odd feeling of déjà vu, you race across the station and onto the platform, but the doors are already closed and the train is in motion. Wait! You cry. Wait! But the train does not wait, and you run as quickly as you can towards the slowly retreating caboose, and then... I make a leap of faith. Fix peeks out of the rear door. Colonel Farsnuff throws open the rear door, while I have to stop gasping for breath, crouched over, hands on my knees. So obviously these options are based on our previous actions. Considering Colonel Farsnuff is grayed out, I guess if he got the hairpin, he would have became our ally or something. But in this case, we can see that probably Fix is the best choice because we are... he owes us a favor. So Leap of Faith seems like a desperate attempt. I have to stop gasping for breath. That is probably a game over or something, but let's go with Fix peeks out of the rear door. Golly, says Fix, suddenly opening the rear door. Calvin, what are you doing running there? Never mind about that, you gasp. Help me. Oh, righto. Fix awkwardly hooks one leg on the railing and stretches out his hand to you as far as they will go. Trying very hard not to think about the way in which you are about to trust your life to Fix's competence, you leap. And Fix grasps your hands, hauling you back to the safety of the caboose. There now, Fix says. All's well. One typically uses the door, you know. Yes, I know, you reply. You have a handprint on your bag. It's your handprint from earlier when you were using pastels. Ah, yes. Thank you, Figs. I owe you. Not at all. You have already agreed to do me a favor. The portrait, you know. Yes, I see. Yeah, this is what I expected. It's quid pro quo. I saved your life, and you, in a sense, shall save mine. Ah, you wouldn't mind telling Mopsy when you see her that I saved your life, would you? And... as you lean on the railing, with Figs next to you, telling you something very detailed about the shape of Mopsy's ears, you travel the final leg of the journey. And there we go. Chapter 2 is behind us. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next episode where we are going to tackle Chapter 3.